Our search for a new pass catcher for the Cowboys in this year's draft class continues, this time with a wide receiver. South Carolina's Deebo Samuel put himself on the map with a strong sophomore season, but fell off a bit due to a severe leg injury early in 2017. After a strong 2018 campaign, and an impressive performance at the Senior Bowl, Samuel has played himself back into early day 2 draft discussions. The player I don't know that anyone won Senior Bowl week more than Deebo Samuel did this January. Samuel, who had to deal with some poor quarterback play throughout his college career, didn't get much of a break in that department either at the Senior Bowl. But he did show out every day at practice, and seemed to go viral on Twitter at least once a day. During his actual collegiate season, Samuel finished with 882 yards and 11 touchdowns on 62 catches, solid production especially coming off an injury and playing in a limited offense. Initially in the NFL, Samuel is going to make his money in the slot. He's a shifty yet explosive receiver type and can quickly beat defenders with his speed. He's not the speedster than someone like Marquise Brown is, but he's explosive enough in his own right, especially in terms of short area quickness. Samuel isn't someone who will go up and grab the ball consistently, or even make up for inaccurate throws as often as some others might be able to. But he does have reliable hands, and his ability to get open quickly and create separation should give someone like Dak Prescott easy windows to find him in for completions. What makes Deebo Samuel so fun for me to watch, though, is his ability after the catch. Despite his lack of size, Samuel is tough as nails, and rarely defers out of bounds or avoids contact. He's built well enough to withstand that contact as well, and when he gets free, he's hard to catch and bring down. The fit drafting Deebo Samuel 58th overall would be a heck of a haul for the Dallas Cowboys. In need of another playmaker in the passing game, the Cowboys could make immediate use of Samuel's talents in 2019, specifically as a slot receiver. As has been mentioned ad nauseum, it seems unlikely that Cole Beasley will be returning to the team this season, which makes the need for a slot wideout that much greater. Samuel has big playability from the slot already, and has traits which project him to potentially work outside as well. If he tests well enough at the combine, reps on the outside could very well be in his future. Samuel should be on every Cowboys fan's short list of draft targets in the second round this year. By now it's no secret the Dallas Cowboys don't have a first-round draft pick in the upcoming 2019 NFL Draft. The Amari Cooper trade took care of that, meaning sitting through the entire day one could be a little tiresome for us fans. But day 2 of the draft could get really interesting for the Cowboys, especially as it pertains to the players' positions they could target. Today, I wanted to take a look at a few of the day 2 tight end prospects the Dallas Cowboys could be interested in. This would be the second tier of TEs behind the likes of TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant, and Irv Smith, all of which should be gone by the time the Cowboys are on the clock at 58th overall in the second round. I really believe that if the Dallas Cowboys plan on drafting a starting caliber tight end in this year's draft class, they are going to have to do it with either their second or third round selection. The TEs available beyond that point probably aren't much of an upgrade over Blake Jarwin or Dalton Schultz, which is praise in itself about the upside of the young TEs they currently have on the roster. With all of that in mind, I put together a list of 3 tight ends I would personally target on day 2 if I were the Cowboys. I tried to identify what they typically look for in the starting tight: size, speed, athleticism, while also taking into account the ones that are versatile enough to contribute on all 3 downs in both the running and passing game. Isaac Nauta, Georgia Isaac Nauta is a former 5-star recruit who never really lived up to his billing during his time with the Georgia Bulldogs. He is a top-notch blocker both in line and when split out wide, but due to the Bulldogs' run-heavy offense he never really developed into the pass catcher many envisioned him becoming. He possesses good speed and terrific hands to be a threat in the passing game though, even if he doesn't show a lot of separation ability on film. Nauta looks and plays like a prototypical Dallas Cowboys tight end. He has the desired size, 6 feet 4 inches, 246, athleticism, and skill set to step in and be the Cowboys' TE1 as a rookie. His blocking ability alone will get him on the field early, but he also shows enough pass-catching ability to be a threat in the passing game as well. Overall, Nauta is a pro-ready 3-down guy who is a high-floor prospect with very little downside. Jace Sternberger, Texas A. He was basically a complete unknown before the 2018 season and had just one catch for 5 yards during his 2 years at Kansas before deciding to transfer to JUCO. He didn't fare much better at Northern Oklahoma A. Sternberger is almost the exact opposite of Isaac Nauta, but still has the desired traits the Dallas Cowboys look for in their tight ends. Unlike Nauta, Sternberger is much more accomplished as a passing threat. He runs and moves like a big wide receiver and possesses good separation ability. Due to his size, 6 feet 4 inches, 250, and athletic ability, he is difficult to bring down after the catch as well. He's not as accomplished as a blocker as Nauta, but he shows good technique and will improve in time with added strength. He has the ability to be the Cowboys' TE1 as a rookie. Dawson Knox, Ole Miss Dawson Knox is a former walk-on quarterback at Ole Miss, but spent the last 2 years playing tight end for the Rebels. He is one of the more difficult tight ends to evaluate in this draft class due to the unorthodox offense he played in and his usage in the system, but may actually be more pro-ready than many of us believe. He does have the size, 6 feet 4 inches, 250, speed, and natural hands to be a complete 3-down Tay in the NFL and reminds me a little bit of George Kittle when he was entering the league. Knox is still pretty raw as a player, but moldable, and he has the upside to be one of the best tight ends in this entire draft class. Could probably compete to be the Dallas Cowboys' TE1 as a rookie, but it might be better for him to be in a timeshare of sorts while he develops his God-given talent. Nevertheless, I have a hard time seeing him making it out of day 2 of the draft, especially after he puts on a show at the NFL Scouting Combine. His talent might be too much for the Cowboys to pass up. The Dallas Cowboys have taken a few risks when on the clock in the second round of the NFL draft in recent years. Randy Gregory and Jalen Smith, both important starters on defense, were drafted to the Cowboys after they went down on many teams' draft boards. In 2019, they'll have the opportunity to take yet another risk. Recently, one of the best defensive tackles in this year's class, Jeffrey Simmons, suffered a torn ACL while going through a drill during his workout in Florida. Simmons took to Twitter to share the unfortunate news that will drastically affect his draft stock only a couple of months before the draft. https://t.co/onotsprivovi. Before the injury, Jeffrey Simmons was seen as a top draft prospect. Some even envisioned him being drafted in the top 10. As a 21-year-old defensive tackle from Mississippi State, Simmons had an impressive career during his time in college football. In 3 seasons he managed to rack up 157 tackles and 7 sacks. If one thing is clear, it's that the Mississippi State product will be an impact player when he gets on the field on Sundays. His quick reaction on the get-off will still interest a lot of teams despite his injury. A sound defender on the running and passing game, he'll pay big dividends for whichever team decides to pull the trigger on him come April. Due to their recent second-round draft history, I can't help but wonder if the Dallas Cowboys will consider him when they're on the clock in the second round. This year though, there will be a big difference. Pick. It will be tough for them to wait until the third round to pick a player they could actually put on the field for the 2019 season. especially considering the fact that they're a football team with title aspirations this year. Despite their history and the fact that Simmons will be one hell of a pro, I believe the team will not want to make such a pick in the second without a first-round selection. The team has a big need at DT, although Antoine Woods and Maliek Collins were very serviceable in 2018. We'll see how tempted they are if Jeffrey Simmons is still on the board when they're on the clock. Dallas Cowboys defense was one of the better units throughout the season, but it wasn't without its flaws. An area where they struggled was in creating turnovers and at times against the run. As good as they were in 2018, they have positions where they can use upgrades: defensive tackle and safety. Xavier Woods showed a lot of promise in his second season with the Dallas Cowboys and should continue to be a prominent player moving forward, but Jeff Heath's full-time role may have run its course. Today we're going to look at Darnell Savage Jr., safety from Maryland. Per College Football Reference, Darnell Savage Jr. stands at 5'11" and weighs in right at 200 pounds. In his last 3 years at Maryland he played in 35 games. He averaged 56.67 tackles, 2.67 interceptions, 3.5 per season over his last 2 seasons and 4 in his senior season, and 3 tackles for loss over his final 3 seasons. He had 8 pass deflections as a junior and 2 more as a senior. Savage could be a player that's in play for the Dallas Cowboys at number 58 of the second round. I watched the Texas and Temple games from 2018. Darnell Savage Jr. Film notes: Maryland lined him up in 2 deep cover 2 looks a lot and dropped him into different coverages. From his 2 deep alignment, he would move into cover 3, cover 4, and man coverages. Temple or Texas looked to avoid him as part of their game plans. The one time the either Texas or Temple threw his way, he came down from his 2 deep look into man coverage and jumped a 5-yard out route and intercepted the pass, taking it to the end zone for a touchdown. He's excellent in diagnosing bubble screens and swing passes. On several occasions he met the ball carrier 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage and dropped him for a loss. Savage wraps up in the open field against. Once he diagnoses the play, he gets moving toward the ball in a flash. Willing to take on bigger blockers and receivers with the ball in their hands. Stymied the 6'4", 225-pound Lil Jordan Humphrey from Texas on a bubble screen after Humphrey had broken 1 tackle. Savage wrapped him up and brought him to the ground. Temple attempted to run a reverse after the handoff and Savage came all the way from across the field to meet the runner for a 6-yard loss. Plays with excellent speed and aggressiveness when he sees the play. Sometimes Savage gets caught watching the action on his side of the field and doesn't recognize what is happening in the middle or opposite side of the field. Several times on the read option, it appeared that he didn't recognize that the QB had given the ball away. It could be that he was schemed to take the quarterback, but one time the runner went against the grain to Savage's side of the field and he was unable to get to him before he scored a short touchdown. Maryland had Savage cover tight ends and wide receivers, and again, Temple and Texas didn't throw his way much at all. Again, in a 2-deep safety look came up from 10 yards deep to make a play on a toss to the running back and tackled him for a 4-yard loss. It's dangerous to run things to the perimeter with this guy. If he gets to the line of scrimmage unblocked, he's bringing you down. When blocked on runs to the perimeter, he does a good job of stringing the play to the outside. Savage works his blocker and doesn't give up on the play. He fights to get unblocked in order to make a play. When a team runs play action or hands the ball off out of shotgun or pistol formations, Savage is slower to react and diagnose the play. He'll need to get quicker in processing what's happening there at the next level. One of the more impressive plays I saw him make was on a trick play. Temple attempted to run a wide receiver pass to the outside. Everyone bought the wide receiver reverse and even Savage did too, but was able to use his quickness and speed to make up 5 yards of separation that the Temple receiver had on him to be in good coverage. The Temple receiver wasn't able to come down with the catch and Savage's coverage affected that. Summary: Darnell Savage Jr. doesn't have a ton of height, but he's an explosive player who can play down in the box and in 2 deep looks for the Cowboys. He's a guy that would pair well with Xavier Woods, as you could use those two interchangeably depending on the matchup you face week to week. He's an aggressive player who uses his speed to get into the play and cause disruption. Savage could be around for the Dallas Cowboys at 58, and if they don't sign one of the big-name free agent safeties, should be the selection. If he isn't a day-one starter, he'd be starting by the end of the season.